Hello, I'm so glad to welcome you to our webinar on the OnRamps Distance Learning Catalog. My name is Jennifer Porter, and I'm the Managing Director of OnRamps. I'm pleased to share information in today's webinar about the OnRamps partnership with the Texas Education Agency to offer free professional development modules on distance learning to Texas middle and high school teachers. In today's webinar, I will share a bit about why OnRamps created these modules and our work in Texas, how the modules connect to your campuses and districts, and what is specifically included. We'll explore the distance learning catalog in a demonstration of the key features and an overview of the content in the free modules that are currently available. Lastly, we leave a little bit of time to address questions and make connections. Let's get started with who we are as an organization. The most important part of our work is our students and our teachers. OnRamps partners with districts, institutes of higher education, and agencies like TEA in our work across the state to serve students, teachers, and faculty. As a former teacher, campus principal, and assistant superintendent, I know you share a similar commitment to keeping students at the center of our work. You see that in the OnRamps mission statement: to increase the number and diversity of students who engage in learning experiences aligned with the expectations of leading research universities. Since 2012, OnRamps has offered distance college courses through dual enrollment. We have had over 75,000 unique students take our courses, and last year, over 1,000 instructors engaged in our professional learning and development. This year, it's closer to 1,300 teachers across the state. We partner with over 190 school districts, as well as Texas Tech University and Houston Community College on distance learning and professional development. And this year, we have collaborated with David Yeager and the Texas Behavioral Policy Institute at University of Texas at Austin to study teacher and student mindset practices. It's this combination of expertise and deep connection to teachers and our partners that led us to build the distance learning catalog. Last spring, I heard directly from many of our OnRamps teachers across the state about the specific professional learning and development experiences they had through OnRamps that equipped them to make effective transitions to online instruction during COVID. We leaned into our deep knowledge and experience of distance course development and professional development to create the Distance Learning Catalog. The Distance Learning Catalog is a series of online professional development modules that's focused on teachers and students and their experiences in distance and hybrid learning environments. There are 20 modules that are combined across 4 different bundles or themes. These bundles or themes are centered on the work of educators and faculty who are working with students who are in grades 5 all the way up through college. And these modules are delivered through Canvas Catalog. If you're familiar with the Canvas Learning Management System, the Canvas Catalog is exactly that, the Canvas Learning Management System, so you'll know exactly what this looks like as I do a demonstration a little bit later in this presentation. There are many benefits to educators here. As we designed the catalog, we made multiple considerations, and we considered specifically the environments that our teachers are in this fall. So we address multiple instructional modalities: synchronous, asynchronous, and hybrid. And because we know that our teachers are extraordinarily busy all the time, but especially in the context of the upcoming academic year, these modules feature elements that provide opportunities for learning for the teacher to be directly applied to the classroom context, whether they're in middle school, high school, or in college environments. The content is also curated, and teachers can access the content at any time and at their own pace. There are interactive activities and downloadable documents so that teachers can use the information that they have learned at any time and take it with them outside of the module experience. In the full distance learning catalog, there's a feedback cycle where teachers can upload the documents to the modules and receive feedback from the OnRamps staff. In the 5 free modules from the Texas Education Agency is partnering with us to be able to provide, there are also those same downloadable documents, and the teachers still receive feedback through assessments at the conclusion of each of the modules. So I'm going to show you a little bit more in just a minute, but let's talk about those free modules that are available through our partnership with the Texas Education Agency. They are across all 4 of the bundles or the themes that I mentioned earlier. Authentic assessment in online learning. As we worked with our teachers across the state of Texas this last spring, as I met with them in focus groups, we considered the development and the build of these particular modules based on that feedback and the questions that we heard most frequently. So again, asking those questions and answering them in these collections of bundles or these collections of themes here. First, authentic assessment in online learning. How should I consider assessing my students in online learning? When I see my students very frequently, typically in the classroom structure, how does this change when I'm not able to see them face to face? What might I need to do differently, and how might I need to think about frequency and duration differently in the online context? In learner-centered course creation and design, we answer the question of developing the course for the needs of specific learners. Yes, specific learners who need accommodations, but also thinking about the very unique context of each classroom and each community. In transforming learning with technology tools, we want to answer the question, not how do we begin with the technology tools, but how do we begin with the learning and make great choices about which technology tools to include. And lastly, we want to answer the question, how do we create great classroom community and belonging, equity, connectivity, spaces that support our students to thrive in the distance learning classroom? Although we obviously want to be with our students face to face in this time frame when we cannot be, how can we still create deep and rich connections with our students that support them in having successful classroom experiences? Through our partnership with the Texas Education Agency, 5 of the 20 modules will be offered to eligible teachers at no cost. So they are available to all middle and high school teachers who are currently employed in Texas schools. They support your teachers in meeting synchronous and asynchronous remote instruction requirements, and teachers will earn 1 hour of CPE credit for the completion of each of the 5 modules. That's also true of all of the modules that we have in the full distance learning catalog. This is a quick shot of all of the modules that we have available, the 5 free modules that are available through the Texas Education Agency partnership. And I'm going to do a brief demonstration of each of these modules and showcase some of the features that are prevalent throughout the entire module experience, as well as available throughout the full distance learning catalog experience. And we'll begin with aligning to synchronous and asynchronous experiences. So as you can see, in aligning to synchronous and asynchronous experiences, there are 7 sections. I'm going to highlight 1 section from each of the 5 modules that are freely available through our partnership with TEA, And in this particular module, I'm going to begin with section 2. As you can see, there's a table of contents, and there's a table of contents for each of the sections. And we'll start with considering technology as a learning tool. There are interactive elements to create some engagement, and as well as to model how course design can be done to create some intriguing excitement for the participant or for the user. And of course, there's always some reading to do to create some foundational experiences or foundational knowledge as we move forward. And this is actually one of my favorite elements here. It's this essential question of who's creating the knowledge anyway. And as an experienced teacher, I think this goes back to that basic question of who is tired at the end of the day, and is it the student or the teacher who has done that heavy lifting on the learning? And what we've done here is ask that question to support teachers thinking about this with their students in terms of who's creating that knowledge and separating that into synchronous and asynchronous experiences, but also giving consideration to how you can set up specific experiences that can be done synchronously and asynchronously. So teachers are guided through thinking about this in ways that they'll be able to evolve and change throughout the semester as they may be changing instructional modalities. They're also guided to start with the learning outcome and the learning objective of what they're wanting students to accomplish or be able to do from the lesson perspective or the unit perspective before going on to think about the application of the technology tool. So we're choosing the learning structure first before we're going on to the technology tool and thinking simultaneously about the modalities. As well as we go through, as you see, we've only gone through a couple of pages here, but we've already run into our first knowledge check. And we can see, oh, we got that one wrong, but we're going to get some quick feedback and we can always retry. All right, I'm going to go on now to our next module, which is learner-centered design. And here I'm going to go straight into section 3, understanding the learner. In our last module, we saw that we're giving consideration to multiple instructional modalities in a variety of settings. In this particular module, we go straight into considering a unique context and applying the ideas to the very specific classroom context that each teacher is in. So we go down to the student analysis activity. In this particular activity, the teacher is provided some guiding questions, and as they click next, and they keep going and answer these questions, they can retry or they can export text. I want to showcase this element because throughout the modules, as teachers are responding to questions, as they are building their knowledge base, as they are extending their thinking, as they are extending their own experiences from the deep and rich knowledge they are bringing to these particular modules, they're able to export items, download items, and take away these component parts to apply to their real classroom setting. So to make real connections to the work that they're doing in their own necessary time frames. And yet another knowledge check. So we do a lot of modeling here around effective ways to create engagement for your students and for your teachers around these quick checks in the online learning environment. Now I'm going to head over to our third module, which is in the belonging, equity, and connectivity bundle or theme. And this one is cultivating authentic student-teacher relationships in distance learning. And I'm going to hop into directly section 4, demonstrating empathy. And we'll start with why empathy matters. And as you can see too, we really love teachers and we care about them, and we want to give them messages of hope and resilience as well, because they are giving those messages to our students. And so there's multiple points in these modules where we are also providing some supports directly to our teachers so that they can do the same for our students, giving considerations to things like authentic care and aesthetic care, with some reflection questions here. As I mentioned earlier, we have also curated the content. We know that our teachers are coming to distance learning and online instruction, and they're bringing many years of experience with them. As I've spoken with teachers from a variety of spaces across the state, I have heard many of them say, I feel like a first-year teacher again, even though they've taught for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And in this particular activity, as we have done in multiple other places throughout the modules, we wanted to pull in and bring in the wisdom and knowledge that teachers bring and help them think about those traditional classroom activities and how that can be adapted to online learning. And we know that our teachers really do value their connections to students and have great ways to build classroom community. So in this particular exercise, teachers are guided through the process to increase empathy, but by leveraging what they already know how to do in the traditional classroom context and transition that to an online version by integrating additional technology tools. And this goes straight on to the next section, which is being comfortable with vulnerability, which is a tough thing to do, but I know we can do that. As we go on to the fourth module, we will hop, which is facilitating feedback at a distance. We're going to hop directly into section 2. And here we address some of the challenges and questions that we have heard where there are concerns that by transitioning to online instruction or distance learning, that we have to abandon quality practices because they don't fit into this particular learning structure. One of those is peer interaction or peer-to-peer feedback or cross-curricular engagement. So in this particular module, we address higher order thinking and peer feedback. Some of the elements that we value in our face-to-face instruction that we can absolutely integrate into the online environment or into the distance classroom. And we provide some pieces here about how to do that, as well as some research on the structures for that. Some clear warning about here's some things that could go wrong so that those caution signs are clearly indicated and we can plan for those potential pitfalls so that they do not occur. As well as integrating some interaction and downloadable environments or downloadable opportunities. So again, I just want to demonstrate very quickly how this might work. And I'm going to check. It didn't do so great, but I can always retry here. Lots of these kind of opportunities for engagement and checks for understanding. And here we have another downloadable document that is a framework for productive peer-to-peer feedback. So this is a guided document, a guided reflection, guided process that teachers can use to apply the information in this section of the module directly to their classroom. As I have referenced, formative assessment many times throughout this short webinar this morning or this afternoon, depending on when you are watching. The last piece that I will end with is our 5th module that is freely available to our Texas middle and high school teachers, and that's student-driven self-monitoring within a distance learning cycle. As our students are engaging in asynchronous learning, it will be critical that they have increased opportunity and increased structures to monitor their own understanding and to assess their own understanding. So they will need skills such as self-regulated study strategies. They will need to know how to self-monitor in a cycle, strategies to foster metacognition. So our teachers will also need these strategies and need to create these structures for our students as they are increasingly independent in asynchronous learning modalities. Here, I want to point out, however, section 6, and you may have noticed that each of these modules has an apply and extend tile. In the apply and extend tile, at a minimum, there is a quiz or an opportunity for teachers to synthesize their understanding of the concepts presented in the modules. In this case, and in many others, there's also a template provided that allows the teacher to plan a document or plan a unit, again, to apply that knowledge. I just wanted to showcase that for you here. They will not necessarily submit this one to us for feedback, so this is for their own use. In this case, to complete the module, they would go on to complete this short quiz. And this concludes the demonstration portion. But by now, I'm sure you are wondering how you can support your teachers' engagement in these modules and how they can register, how you might roll this out with your teachers as either a campus leader, a district leader. And one place to begin is through the Texas Education Agency website. If you go to the instructional continuity section, from here, you go to the Strong Start Implementation Supports. There is a link on the left-hand side, which is the OnRamps Distance Learning Catalog. That links directly to our OnRamps website. On the right-hand side, there's another link which says link, and that goes directly to register to the OnRamps Distance Learning Catalog. So the right-hand link goes directly to the catalog. The left-hand side goes to our OnRamps website, which provides additional instructions about registration, as well as additional information about the full catalog, and of course, more information about OnRamps. If you click on that right-hand side link, you'll go to the OnRamps Distance Learning Catalog, and it looks a bit like this. In fact, it looks exactly like this, except there's 2 more pieces down at the bottom, so I encourage you to go there. And you would select one of these tiles, or your teachers would select one of these tiles. And then in this case, if you wanted to start with student-driven self-monitoring within a distance learning cycle, you click Enroll, and you would have this page that pops up. You'll need to include your full name and an email address that is affiliated with the district. Due to our partnership with the Texas Education Agency, we will be scanning and filtering out anyone who's enrolled with another email affiliation. So no Gmail, no Yahoo, no AOL, needs to be a district affiliated or charter affiliated email address. To complete the registration process, you'll have to agree to the acceptable use policy, agree that you are not a robot, of course. Once you complete registration for one of the modules, you can complete registration for the other 4 modules that are also available for free for Texas educators. You can also type in the URL, which is onramps.catalog.instructure.com, to complete registration, as well as linking to the distance learning catalog from one of the sources that I just mentioned. When you do go to the catalog and you are looking around after you've completed a module or two, you will also notice that there is a tile that says Full Distance Learning Catalog. And this catalog means that you can access all 20 of the original modules. This is worth 24 CPE hours. So some of the additional modules that we have here have extended timeframes or additional CPE hours attached to them because of the feedback cycle that teachers will engage in with our staff. All of the modules are built on a competency-based framework, all 20 of them, including the 5 free modules available through the Texas Education Agency. And in the full catalog, there will be an additional 12 modules available in spring 2021 for even more CPE hours. If you're interested in learning more about that, please email us at dlc@austin.utexas.edu. We have individual and campus licenses, and we have customizable district licenses as well. And of course, we're happy to hear from you in any variety of these methods. So you can email me directly, or you can email our distance learning catalog, which is monitored by various members of our team. You can send a tweet to us at Texas OnRamps, or check us out on at our website or Facebook page. We are extremely honored to be able to offer this service to our Texas teachers, and in partnership with the Texas Education Agency, and grateful for Commissioner Morath's support of this endeavor and the opportunity to serve, especially in this time. Thank you for taking a few moments to check out the distance learning catalog, these 5 free modules. I hope that you find them useful in your work with teachers and on campuses and districts, and serving the needs of the students of our state. Thank you.